and see whether. And yeah, a little button just popped up that said, this is going live. So I think.
Oh, can you, I'll change the title.
Oh, yes, please do. Okay, I think that's right. I think that's right. What should I change the title to? Actually, never mind. I can figure that out. Maybe.
Hey.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Where are you?
I'm in the US, in Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just, of course, even after taking off the day of work, still last minute.
Of course. Yeah, yeah.
Getting the live stream all figured out, but
yeah,
I think it'd be great. It'll be great.
Hi, Mario.
Hey, hello. How's it going?
Hey.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to meet you all.
Yeah, this is great. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. Yeah, we talked to John earlier, and he's got a previous meeting, but he's gonna try and stop in more towards the end. So that'd be great. He's fantastic.
A couple of other people from the Irish group said they'd join in. So we'll see if they come or not.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Well, it'd be great if it was casual and, you know, just comfortable. So if they come, perfect. And if not, then. But Mariana's just making sure that the live stream is working out. So.
Is Mariana in the London group? Or?
No, so right now she's in Spain, but she's been working with the hÉirinn and everything over there, and but she's with the Fáilte,
right,
and yep.
Hi.
Hey, Kate.
Margarita, Mario, Chiara, are you all in Scotland, is it?
Yeah, we're all based in Scotland. I don't think any of us is actually in Scotland right now, but normally we are.
This happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, great. We can, yeah, get started in a little bit, but how's the weather over there?
Things are streaming on the platform.
Where?
Oh, wherever anyone is.
Well, I'm in Italy and it's very warm.
Yeah.
As it always is in July.
Yeah. Here too. Very warm and humid, and especially we've had the past couple days, the wildfires from up in Canada have the smoke reaches all the way down here, and it's just intensified the humidity and everything, and
so scary.
Hey, welcome. Yeah, very. Well, do we want to just get started, and as people join, we can. Great. Yeah, I don't know if who wants to start, but just maybe how you got involved in, or which group you're from and how you got involved in it, and what the Zapatistas journey has meant, or just kind of opening thoughts maybe? I don't know if anybody wants to start.
Well, I can start. Just
Okay, great.
a quick start. So yeah, my name is Margherita and I am part of a collective called Scotland Zapatista, which was formed pretty much shortly after the first communiques from the Zapatistas about their intention to take this trip to Europe. So it's a collective that gathers different people and members of different organizations in Scotland. Although we've also been linking up with other groups across what's called the UK, so England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And we've been very excited, obviously, about the trip and the unique opportunity that it represents for us across Europe. Many of us are engaged in a variety of struggles, ranging from supporting migrants and asylum seekers in a context that is profoundly racist and a legal system that is highly exclusionary, to people struggling against oppressive systems such as patriarchy in their daily lives, as well as activists engaged in resistance against mega projects or extractivist projects, especially in Scotland, where oil extraction is still a big thing. And yeah, we've just been working hard to ensure that we can give the best welcome to the delegation, although we won't be part of those territories that will be visited by the Zapatista delegation in their first months. We're definitely looking forward to welcome them in October or later, but at the same time, we've also been trying to keep the momentum and catalyze the energy that was triggered by their announcement. But I can talk about this further. I'll let someone else go on.
Yeah, I think too, though, that's one of the beautiful things about this is obviously like the events that are planned are a huge deal, but it doesn't have to be just, I mean, even in places where there aren't going to be events, like the energy is still, I don't know, is something I think is really neat about it. But yeah, did anyone else want to start out, or?
Can I just say hello?
Absolutely.
Hello.
How are you, John?
Terrific to see you. Terrific to see you, Lawrence and Kate and all, and you, Brian. Sorry, that's all.
No, I appreciate it. It's great to see you. Thanks for making some time.
Oh no, lovely to be here.
Yeah, you mentioned briefly, Margarita, about just that these struggles are happening I mean, I'm in Minnesota in the United States, and the immigration and the racism around that and refugees is incredibly prevalent here. And I think the more we share stories and link up those struggles, the more powerful they are, that they're not individual struggles just locally. They are, but that they're connected to something bigger, and that we're not just fighting one tentacle of this, that we're, and I think that's, to me, one of many of the big things about this journey that they're on, is to, not just go and speak to people, but speak with people, listen and have conversations and make it more, I don't know, Ken, if anyone else wants to jump in.
My name is Quiva. Hello, everybody. I'm on my phone, so I can only, hi. I can only see one person at a time when they speak, but I'll get a sense of, yeah, whomever else is in the space as well, hopefully as we go on. And I'm part of the Irish organizing group. I lived in Chiapas in the late 90s as a teenager, and it was, yeah, very formative in everything I think that followed in terms of my own political trajectory and relational one too, in the sense of, yeah, just community. And I left just after the march, the Efe from when the caravana hit the Efe, which, yeah, so it's interesting in a way, sort of re-engaging with a march coming the other way, or a ship sailing, or however people arrive. And apart from that, similarly to Marguerite, I'm engaged in various different sort of social movements, but with a focus primarily on refugees, asylum seekers, and undocumented people. So a lot of that is in the Central Med in a search and rescue capacity. And then also as people are sort of trekking across the Balkans, from Greece, etc. But it's really lovely to share this space with you all. And I definitely echo that no matter even whatever happens vis-a-vis borders and papers, and in terms of the second wave, that regardless, I think that the energy that has been generated, the connections, the relational piece in this has been very beautiful to witness even over the past few months. And I think that it is definitely sort of re-sparked for a lot of us who have had different iterations of involvements with the Zapatista movement, just a remembering, you know, of so much of the depth I think that has to offer us all in terms of what we do in our own local turf. But yeah, so thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can go next, very briefly.
Right.
Well, I'm Mario. I'm Mexican. I used to be based in Edinburgh. That's where I got involved with this thing, and I was living for a while in San Cristobal also recently, and now it is hard to explain, but I am in Italy. So I'm waiting for the delegation to arrive here and to meet them here. So hopefully it will happen. But yeah, I have been interested in indigenous movements for a long time, since the Zapatistas arose in the 90s. So I have been following them, and also try to get in touch with different causes, well, especially indigenous people, but there are some other environmental things and things like that. So very nice to meet you all, and to say hello to those that I don't see for a while.
And then like specifically with this journey to Europe, how much yeah, like what has it meant to any of you personally, or to movements like that they would make? Because I mean, it's a huge effort with a ton of planning and everything, and that it's yeah, just any thoughts on what it means, either symbolically or materially? And
well, maybe I'll say something. Hi, I'm Lawrence. I'm in Dublin. I've never been to Chiapas, I have to say, but the Zapatistas had a huge influence on us, partly through some Irish people who did go, but also particularly through their encouragement to people, not so much to just come and cheer them on, but to make things change, to fight whatever the fight was that needed to be fought where we were. And particularly the encouragement, the idea of one no and many yeses, that there's one thing that we're up against, but we're all in our different places, we're all fighting different struggles, but there is a connection, even if it's not immediately obvious. So 20 years ago now, this was a huge impulse for our movements. And that did an awful lot for our struggles in Ireland for a decade. And then other things happened, the world changed, there was a crash and so on. But I think one of the big reasons why we want to make this happen in Ireland is for ourselves, because it gets people stepping out of the kind of everyday routine of, yeah, we know what to do, we know who we're doing it with, we know what the actions are like, to really taking seriously, why are we doing this? Are we actually able to make a difference in the bigger picture and not just in the day-to-day stuff? And if we come together, can we do something else? So that sense of the Zapatistas coming from outside our local problems and our local routines, I think is actually really inspiring. It's scary, but it's really inspiring.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely. If anyone wants to jump in, feel free. But I'm in the US, and I think I first heard about the Zapatistas from Rage Against the Machine. They had a concert here, actually not even a concert. They were disrupting the Democratic Convention, and I went there in high school, and they were talking about it. And it was at a point in my life where I was politically active. Bush was in office and we were starting to go to war. But so much of the things that seemed available it felt like so much things that have been tried before, electoral politics and different things that also just seemed so detached from reality, from actual people. And the Zapatistas and things like that felt much more real and much more, I don't know exactly, but very inspiring to a lot of people. And and following it over the years, and especially with this trip now, and I think trying to breathe new blood. I loved the renaming of Europe and that idea, especially. I think so often naming, not just when colonizers came over, but the act of naming in so many senses, it's putting ownership, and and so then to redo it, but not in the same kind of way, not in an authoritative way, but in hey, I think has a massive power to it. Returning the land, but also, a name has a lot of power. And I think that was a beautiful notion to me.
Yeah. I should have said I'm John. I'm sitting here in Cholula, just outside Puebla.
I think we might have lost him briefly. But hopefully he'll be able to reconnect. Yes.
Hey guys, I'm Mariana. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us. It means a lot, and it's as I said in the email, it's rather sad that it took this long in the HÍRinn to finally reach out. But I'm glad you're here, and it's great just to share struggles. And so I guess right now, as you know, we are currently facing the systemic and classist interference of the bureaucratic apparatus, and it is basically blocking the entrance of the compass into France. And from your perspective, how does that relate to the experiences in your countries, and how do you think it might develop, and what is there any way to proceed collectively? I guess I would like to leave that question open, and whoever wants to start.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, did I not ask that properly?
No,
Did something happen?
No,
thank you.
Okay, sorry. It's like maybe dense. Or no, sorry. I could try to break it down.
it made total sense. I think maybe we're all just pausing because we were sort of trying to think of previous experiences, specifically vis-a-vis visas. And I know this has always been a stumbling block in the past. Many of us are active around Palestine and different contexts as well, and oftentimes we've organized delegations or speaking tours, and that have been impeded by that lack of that piece of paper. What we found useful in the past, I think, vis-a-vis sort of compas from different geographies, has been sort of parliamentary invitations, sort of getting sympathetic politicians on board. But unfortunately, I think with COVID, and specifically we're seeing this vis-a-vis refugees and family reunification processes now being stalled for over 2 years. People living in limbo and aging out of the system. So a lot of unaccompanied children and minors that we work with who were due to be relocated age out in the interim of this period of COVID, and therefore cannot access the rights or that relocation process as under 18s. So just where my mind was going to, was trying to get sympathetic politicians on board, trying to get high profile folks, sort of similarly to what you're already doing. And then I'd say failing that, although I think that could generate some traction, trying to look at, again, sort of the symbolic, whether that's vis-a-vis ships but some way of sort of subverting, what do these profoundly racist, discriminatory visa regimes mean, and what are the voices that they block, in terms of access. But yeah, so in a way, I think we'll all probably feedback, but also whatever direction that you feel would be useful, for us to take, whether that is sort of approaching local parliamentarians or sort of well-known voices in our countries of origin, then we'll definitely be on board with that as well. And for you to feel comfortable, I think, in reaching out, and just broadening your sort of circle of engagement of people who are working on this as well, because it would be a pleasure for all of us, really. And welcome back, John. Hey.
Thank you.
I think also making them, the government politicians pay a political price. I mean, yes, it'd be great if we could get politicians on board with it. But I think too, the more noise you make, they don't want media attention on it or something, then they'd be much more likely to, because is it really, I don't know, is it really such a threat to them to have the Zapatistas come in? I think in some sense it is, but I think they'd be, I think they could cave to pressure if it was enough bad publicity, but I don't know. John, welcome back. Do you have any thought on this, or on as far as the Zapatistas being blocked from entry to France and ways that we can do something about it, or in general on their trip?
I don't know. I was wondering about this on the question of them not being allowed into France. I think you were asking, or Mariana was asking about, what is the importance of the trip? I think perhaps there's a distinction to be made between why it's very important for us and why it might be important for the French government to accept it, which is not necessarily the same thing. I mean, we can say it's really important because this is a step towards getting rid of this awful capitalist system, but that's not necessarily the argument that the French government is going to listen to. No. Then I was wondering whether one way of thinking about is to say, well, look, this is the most amazing theatrical event. You know, it's kind of culturally, this is really important. This, in times of the pandemic, is transcontinental theater. You know, and for them to arrive in France will be a great contribution to French culture or whatever. I mean, I think possibly, yeah. I mean, what I was trying to say before, I think, was the one thing that's really important to me is the surreal aspect of it. I mean, that it really kind of pushes our political thinking beyond anywhere we've gone before. No, I mean, nobody else could have dreamt, I think, that this would be possible. No, so maybe as well that can be taken up in terms of, say, arguments to the authorities as well. I mean, this is really something, a huge, surreal event. You know, and this is something that France or wherever should not say no to. Or I don't know, I just wonder. But I think the challenge for us is really to go beyond anything we've ever thought. No. Sorry, Lawrence.
No, I just wanted to agree with that. And France has traditionally had quite an independent foreign policy by comparison with other European states. I can see why they chose France. But under Macron, it has shifted some of that. Quite visibly, for example, around Italian political exiles who have been sent back or threatened to be sent back for events in the 70s. But I think France is still more open than many to appeals from intellectuals, in fact. And I would wonder if there are any of the people, any of the French intellectuals who were involved in that kind of thing, or figures around Le Monde Diplomatique, for example, French scholars who work with Latin American intellectuals, that might actually be more influential on the French government than, say, putting effort into La France Insoumise, who would probably support it, but I don't think it would have much impact on the government, whereas something of the equivalent of a letter to Le Monde, I don't think Le Monde has a letters page, but something that got even 2 column inches there with some well-known names might be the kind of thing that would embarrass the government and say, this is a significant historical, cultural moment, as John is saying. That might be a conversation to carry on, perhaps by email afterwards, who we know, who we could ask, but that kind of embarrassment might be effective.
I definitely echo that, and maybe say, as well as intellectuals, you know, looking at sort of popular cultural figures, or, you know, people who have a certain gravitas in the public imagination. And I'm thinking also of people like Ken Loach, you know, has a really broad audience in France, but you know, just trying to get lots of people from lots of different disciplines to sign on to a letter, you know, footballers, you know, folks, I mean, Cantona, you know, like there's loads, you know, like I'd say we could cast that net wide, you know, and yeah, just have different sort of communities of reference that this might resonate with as well.
Well, I think I can chip in a little bit. I was thinking about what John said, how this is so real and how this is very important. And I think it is very, very important, especially because of the context that these times that we are living now. What we have been seeing, what we can see through all these social movements trying to make noise because of all this tour, that it is very important, is that somehow we have been sleeping for a long time because of the pandemic, because of many things. But we were very silent, very calm, and maybe this is exactly the time where we need them the most. It is the time where you have to wake up in a very immediate way, where you have to pressure the most. I mean, to me, all this thing about the pandemic and the restrictions and the traveling and stuff, it resonates with the things before that have happened, you know, with the 9/11, and you say terrorism, and then you realize that almost any policy that they say was kind of implicitly accepted by many people. And now you say pandemic, and not a lot of people protest as hard as they can, because there's this lethargy, this silence that the people are, I mean, rightly so, preoccupied because of many things. But maybe this is the right time to wake up, and let's hope that with the tour, with the Zapatista tour, things get momentum, as Margarita was saying. This is something that I think most of us have experienced in this, getting involved with this, organizing this tour. The things started very slow, and it starts to grow and grow and grow and grow, and you see more and more countries and more territories trying to go in, and you have seen a lot of people trying to get involved in different ways, organizing, publicity, finance, logistics, and it is a kind of a circle that is so beautiful, because the more that they try, the more that you get enthusiastic about it, and you say, more people are doing this. I am also going to participate on this, and I am also going to participate on this, because more and more, and maybe this is the time. It is just a matter of I don't know. To me, it seems like a roller coaster sometimes. It seems like the Zapatistas are just getting to the tip, and as soon as they reach it, they're just going to, you know, let themselves go, and it's going to be big. It's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be, as John says, it's going to be very surreal, as most of the Zapatistas thing usually are. They are hard to grasp at the beginning. It takes sometimes months, sometimes years to realize what was the real meaning of all the things that they were doing and saying. But being there and looking back, it's going to be amazing for the whole world, not just for now. And let's hope that the governments, they will play their parts. I don't know what they will decide. But also, it's going to be what it is happening now. They make us, as a social movements and organizations, they push us to find creative ways to say, no, please let them. They deserve to be here. This is not nonsense, and we are going to find the ways to support them. It's surreal, not so surreal, but we will be there. So this is also helping us to wake up and to mobilize more.
Yeah, no,